everyone, kia ora tātou, haere mai, ni hou ma, and welcome along to Showy Ovaries, a podcast where I, formerly ignorant to the extent of the swirling masses of hormones inside me, Penny Ashton, seek out all the information I can about their impending decay from those who have trodden the menopausal path before me. A quick reminder, as always, that I am not a doctor, though I remember thinking I could maybe get into medicine for about 2.5 seconds when I realised the thought of studying for another near decade or so wasn't for me. So if you need some actual medical advice from someone whose student loan is potentially the size of a mortgage on a studio apartment in Invercargill, then please do seek a proper medical personage to answer your queries. Today's guest, though, may not be a doctor, but she does have a Queen's Service Medal for her extensive research into her family history. A high school teacher, theatre enthusiast, and researcher extraordinaire, Jenny Agnew and her husband Trevor have tirelessly collated and written a family history of Choie Sew Hoy, her great-great-grandfather, and his descendants from when he arrived in New Zealand in 1869 until today. Jenny is a fifth-generation New Zealander, a mother of 4 feisty ladies, grandmother to 7, sister-in-law to my first ever Showy Ovaries guest, Pinky Agnew, or as Pinky likes to call her, sister-in-love, and as someone who has welcomed me into her home in Christchurch, which is incidentally about 800 metres from my family home. So please give a warm and squishy Showy Ovarian welcome to the very fabulous Otautahi educational superstar, Jenny Agnew. Hello. Kia ora. Do you like that? Oh my gosh, we're laughing for a long time. Do you not feel like a superstar?
Oh, heavens no.
But you've put so much history together, particularly of this area and Dunedin area and things like that. So do you ever pat yourself on the back?
Well, I think when you get to my age, you think of all the things that have gone before and you start wondering, how is it I got here and who was responsible?
Right.
And the fact that our Chinese history in New Zealand is unknown. Some people have never even contacted someone of Chinese origin, which always surprises me because I think there's lots of us. There's a huge amount of ignorance out there. And the thing that offends me most, and I know it shouldn't because I should be used to it, but I was born here. I'm 78 years old. My mother was born here. My forebears, my great-great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father were all in New Zealand for varying periods of time, but certainly saw themselves as New Zealanders then. I certainly see myself as a New Zealander, but the question I worry about most and confounds me most is, where do you come from?
Yeah.
And the reaction, I come from Dunedin. I'm born in Dunedin, all my childhood in Dunedin, and people still look surprised.
Yeah, wow. And it's interesting, there's been a lot more immigration to New Zealand from China in your lifetime. Yes. Would you say particularly in the last 40 years?
Oh, easily that.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And has that changed with that question? Has it become more common or less common, or are people less surprised or more surprised?
Well, once you say you're from Dunedin, most people stop.
Right.
But they're the insensitive ones who say, oh, where do your parents come from then?
Right.
And that's the next thing. And there have been, it's quite a rich vein of comedy for many, many New Zealand Chinese people.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Are you a Chinese New Zealander or are you a New Zealand Chinese? I think I'm a Chinese New Zealander.
Right.
But it's not just us in New Zealand, it's all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And varying degrees of prejudice all over the world, especially during the pandemic.
I'd like to say a lot of it is blissful ignorance.
I think so.
But it's very casual, and it tells me that the questioner doesn't see me as a New Zealander.
Absolutely. Right. And I can see that would be frustrating. Absolutely. But, and it's so interesting because my mother is Australian and she's about, I think I'm 5th generation New Zealand and 5th generation, like for Australia down to here. And so it's interesting, like you go back to Ireland, I have huge connections to Ireland and to England, but I don't feel it.
No.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I am New Zealander. Absolutely. And I don't feel very Australian, even though I'm theoretically half. My husband always tells me, you're Australian, and that's fine, but I don't feel that. I feel very New Zealand. And I like being from New Zealand. I thought I hated New Zealand, right? When I was 21, I'm like, let's get out of here. It's so boring. I've got to go back and see the world. And then I realized just how beautiful New Zealand is and how unique it is. Did you ever have that? Did you feel like you hated it and you wanted to go back to China or anything like that? Or No.
China is part of my heritage. It's not part of who I am.
And you are part of my heritage in a way, which you won't know this. And I love that this is this intrinsically entwined. That when I did my first ever show in Christchurch at the Harbour Light, I contacted the entertainment lady at the press, who just happens to be your daughter, Margaret, and she did a fantastic interview with me, and I had a full page in the press with me in my little Vegas bunny outfit, well, Playboy bunny outfit, and I totally filled up because of that. So, and that launched me off into Christchurch with a really good backing. So your existence has brought my existence better sales. So thank you very much.
I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Margaret was so skilled at all that interviewing, and now she uses those skills at the University of Canterbury.
Yeah. And Ruth is also a friend of mine on Facebook. You're another of your daughters, and I got, this is the thing that you're talking about, just the dismissal still, like that. I don't even know his name, and I'm not going to dignify him by remembering it, but who said that Nadia Lim was the Eurasian piece of fluff. And that was just, at least there was a massive outrage about that.
Ruth's piece on that was just wonderful, and the spin-off. Yep. I'm so proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, because it's through your research and everything. And it's just such a belittlement of, that guy was a dickhead, excuse me. I'm a bit sweary. I don't feel that you are very sweary.
I don't usually.
No, which is fine. It's like I shall temper my...
No, it doesn't matter.
Because Pinky is...
You are you.
A bit sweary, so... All of that. Right, okay. Well, I'm going to do my longer introduction for you, which is quite long. So just brace yourself, because you've done a lot of fabulous things. So here we go. Choie Sew Hoy Agnew was born in 1943 into a family of fruitiers in Mosgiel near Dunedin, and despite being a fifth-generation New Zealander, arrived at primary school without knowing a word of English, having only spoken Cantonese at home. She quickly learned, however, and even went on to graduate from Otago University with a languages degree, having studied French, Russian and Latin. She became a high school teacher where she stayed and dedicated her life to helping countless teenagers to unlock language in both remedial reading and TSOL, which is teaching speakers of other languages specialities. She is also a theatre and music enthusiast and started the Hillmorton Theatre Sports Troupe, which I may well have played against in my seventh form year, which was 1991. So there you go. Again, we are interlinked. In her role as a historian for the Chinese New Zealand community, she is highly respected, and her work specifically in producing hers and Trevor's book, Merchant Miner Mandarin, The Life and Times of the Remarkable Choie Sew Hoy, has seen her headline sold-out sessions at the Word Festival in Christchurch and the Auckland Writers' Festival, and receive her Queen's Service Medal. She has often been a spokesperson on matters regarding historical Chinese matters, especially on the sinking of the SS Ventnor in 1902, a voyage initiated by Choie himself to take the bones of 499 deceased Chinese gold miners back to be repatriated to their homeland, and which his body actually ended up as he passed away in 1901. But tragically, this boat struck the Hokianga Bar and sunk just off the coast. And Jenny was recently expressing concern at a documentary filming the wreckage, calling it disrespectful to her ancestors on board. Every year, members of the Chinese and Māori communities gather at the Hokianga to remember those on board and the Māori who collected the bones that washed up and treated them as their own. So, one more time, please welcome the luminary and treasure trove of Chinese and New Zealand knowledge and wisdom that is Choie Sew Hoy Agnew. There we go. Hooray. Did I get that all right?
I did not start the theatre sports group.
Oh.
I joined with another enthusiast, and I carried it on after she left.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's the minor quibble.
Yeah, it's minor. I don't think there's anything else that I would have... some of the epithets. So I wouldn't have used some of those.
Right, okay. No. Well, I will tootle your horn instead if you don't want to. So do you go... How often do you go back to the Hokianga?
I haven't, because it's so expensive.
Right.
But we went, Pinky took us up, drove us all the way from Wellington to Northland, and we spent a very blissful time there, and were forced home by that lockdown where we had 48 hours to get home, and we were as far away as you could
possibly be. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was we had been, and we'd done the event, or we'd done our pilgrimage, if you like, and we burnt our joss sticks and did the ceremonial things. It was just lovely to do. I felt really at peace with my ancestor there, because the documentary maker who sent divers down and retrieved, apparently they found pieces of the ship and they brought them up.
Yeah, and is it within Chinese tikanga, to use a different word, to leave people at rest?
It's an unusual situation, but what you had was a ship full of bodies to be returned home. One of the reasons that you should have your body returned home is so that your family can do you honour every year. And what we're doing is paying tribute and honouring our ancestor where he lies.
Right.
Most of his family really is here in New Zealand. And for a great deal. I mean, you think about it, he only had 3 sons, and all of them have left descendants who are New Zealanders. So
yeah, it does become a bit of a conundrum, doesn't it?
It is not for me. I think that we are doing the right thing. This is our founding ancestor in New Zealand, if you like.
So you like the fact that he's in close proximity to, well, he's in New Zealand waters.
Yes. Because who's going to be there in China too?
Yeah.
We went, 2007, we were lucky enough to have a trip back to Guangzhou, and don't know what, it used to be called Canton, southern China.
Yeah.
And we went to see all the family graves.
Wow.
And we did the ceremonial things, and we burnt firecrackers. I've never seen so many in one. It was in a pizza-sized box, standing about this high. They were coiled up, and you strung them on a tripod, lit the end, and it went all the way up.
Right.
Bangers,
Yeah, yeah.
And it was amazing. And left all this red paper that they were covered in all over the graves. Because we were going up the hill to the graves, and we could see the graves had red stuff on them. I thought they were rose petals, and they were all the red paper from all the firecrackers that had been burnt by other families at other graves.
Do you still have a lot of relatives in China?
Well, I guess we have. I don't know them myself because I'm illiterate, but a lot of the people who are out here have come out, and they still communicate. And the family home is still standing.
Wow.
It's surrounded by high-rise buildings and things now, but...
it's quite special.
Well, yes. Well, that we went there.
Yeah. And
at that stage, there was still somebody living there. I don't know that it's so now, but it's well cared for, it's well looked after. And, it's a fantastic visit. But it was a visit. And I felt a link, but I didn't feel I was Chinese there.
Right.
I was very much a foreigner, a New Zealander.
Right. So is that something a bit discombobulating, like to be here and considered other by some people and then go there and be considered other? But you feel completely at home here, obviously.
Yeah, this is it. This is my place. This is my place.
Yep, which is good.
And I don't need other people to tell me I'm not there, but it still rankles because...
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you sat up straighter when you said that. I don't need other people to tell me. Exactly, because you're a feisty lady and you've got other feisty ladies that you've given birth to. You don't think that you are? Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is it. So that leads into my first question, I think, which is, what has your relationship been like with your body through your life, and what journey has it been on?
When I was very small, I remember being told don't look like that, it makes your eyes squinty.
Mm.
I wasn't allowed to smile too much.
Because that made your eyes look more... Oh, that's tragic. And who told you that?
Oh, my mother. She said, you have to fit in.
Mm.
I know this is an image, and it's probably misconception, and I'm doing my mother down, and I don't mean to, because she was a lovely, lovely woman. But I felt that I had to fulfill expectations of other people by not being myself.
And not being Chinese?
Well, if you try to disappear into the woodwork, then nobody would notice you.
So were you shy?
Oh, I don't think so.
Right, okay.
I think that was always a problem.
I see. So then did you just carry some internal shame around that, do you think?
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And how did that, as you got older and through teenage years and things?
I never liked my body, ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Right.
I was always trying to improve it. In my ignorance, I didn't know what I was doing. But I didn't know what I could do to improve it.
Right.
And that was made you feel a bit helpless. I mean, you can't help it. I look different. I don't look European. And we were surrounded by Europeans. But at home, we were us, and we spoke Chinese, and we did Chinese things. We ate rice, and people only had rice and pudding.
Of course. Wow. Yeah, right. And how was it? Because, you got to school at 5 and you didn't speak any English. Like, how do you just learn really quickly, but how do you do that? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Mm.
I do know that we only spoke Chinese at home.
Mm.
Although my parents had a fruit shop and they obviously had to deal with customers.
And they were born in New Zealand?
My mother was. My mother was born in Temuka, so she's actually a Cantabrian.
Yes, there we go. Fabulous plates.
I know. And we think through our many trips through Temuka that we have found where her father had a fruit shop, and it was next to a shoe shop, and that shoe shop still exists.
Wow.
So,
right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so you just learned by immersion. You were a total immersion in English.
Yeah, I think I can pick up languages reasonably.
I'd say so, and then you went on to get a degree in them, yeah. I mean, because they're very different languages too, that's the thing.
Yes.
French is easier for us to understand, I think.
Oh, much easier.
You can read it for a start.
Yeah,
right. But you always talked Cantonese to your mother.
Oh.
And so how are things like puberty approached in the Cantonese?
I don't think that bodily functions were just not talked about.
At all?
At all. And when I started my periods, and I was young, I was only 11, my mother handed me a book and put me in my bedroom and said, read that. That was it.
Wow. And did you get that after you started your period?
I started bleeding, yeah.
So were you terrified?
I was surprised.
That's good.
I thought, what's this?
Yes. Yeah. What's this coming out of here?
Yeah.
Right. And did that book explain it all for you?
I don't know if she remember it.
Yeah, right.
But
my mother bought us some books.
Yeah.
It's called What's Happening to Me.
But it was a huge secret.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, because I had 2 younger brothers and a father, and no. Yeah.
So they weren't to know.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
And did you have to buy your own sanitary products?
Oh heck no, nothing like that.
Right.
No.
Okay. So they turned up, but
oh yeah, they were there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And did you do that differently with your daughters?
I think we had a celebration.
Oh. Delightful.
I can remember buying them blocks of chocolate.
You're a woman now. Ish.
Well, I don't know that we had that. We said, right, this is great. You know,
that's delightful.
Another stage in your life. I hope that's how they remember it.
It wasn't a celebration for us, but it was like we always knew it was going to, because we were taught quite a lot. And we got a lot of education at school as well.
Yes, school was pretty valuable.
Yeah. And did you get any education at school around it in those days?
No.
Right, okay. So then did meeting Trevor, like when did you meet Trevor?
At university.
Oh, right.
Otago University is a great place.
Yeah, do you know what? I have so many friends. I had no idea what a hotbed of husband-finding university. Which that's not to say they didn't have career aspirations, etc. But a lot of my friends and have careers and wonderful careers met their, significant partners at university, particularly doctors. My friends who are doctors are married to doctors a lot of the time and things. And what was he studying?
Oh, he's arts as well. He's the historian.
Ah, right. Okay.
He's got an MA in history.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fantastic. And did meeting him give you more confidence around your body?
Oh, I don't think we thought about it, really.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Not at all.
No.
And having children, did that give you more respect for it, or?
I really enjoyed being pregnant.
Great. That's why you did it 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
You really enjoyed it. So that was that rush of hormones. That was like happy hormones for you.
Really happy, yeah.
Right.
And it was helped by the fact that I never, ever got sick. I didn't have, the...
Morning sickness at all?
Morning sickness, no, nothing at all.
No, that is good. Yeah. Right, okay. Yes, and so have you ever come to peace with your body?
I don't think so.
Oh, right. Okay, so you still don't like what you see?
I don't like what I see.
Oh, that's very sad.
Oh, well, it becomes sidelined, I think.
Right.
You're too busy getting on with everything else.
Right, which is good.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not important.
Right. It's so funny, isn't it? It's not important, but it's just who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not to say it's the essence of who you are, but it's what transports you through life.
It is. But I think who you are is in here and in here.
In your heart and in your mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And so did your mother talk to you about her menopause at all? Did you know anything about menopause?
No.
Nothing at all?
Not at all.
Right. No. Okay.
And this is all part of the secrecy thing, isn't it? And secrecy is also to do with modesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, as a woman, you're modest.
Mm. And is that a Chinese thing particularly?
You don't flaunt yourself. Oh, heavens, yes.
Right, okay.
You're not important. When I was doing our family tree, and I asked my father about his ancestors, and he named all the men, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And one of my great-grandfather had 9 sons.
Wow.
And I said, wow, 9 sons and no daughters. And he said, oh, yeah, there were some daughters.
Wow. Wow, does that make you angry? Or do you just accept it?
I just accepted that.
Right.
And that's the way. Because I have to remember, I am the family disappointment.
Oh.
Because my father had been married before in China, and he had 6 daughters before me. I'm number 7. And in Chinese families, often you don't use your personal name. Only very, very close people use your personal name. And you get your title, which is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, sister, cousin, aunt, whatever. So I'm 7th auntie to a lot of people. I'm 7th, well, I should be 7th sister to my younger brothers, but I'm just sister. And so,
Wow. So they're sort of erased.
No, it's respectful. It means that you know who you are and you know who they are in the family.
Yeah.
You know your place.
Absolutely. But the fact that they can't remember the daughters that well and things like that.
Oh, I think he could, but they married out. They weren't part of the family really anymore.
They were somebody else's family.
Because they were somebody else's family.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you seen any shift in attitude? I
don't know that there's a shift, really. People, even though the women, especially in New Zealand, are the movers and shakers, I think people are a bit disappointed that it's me who has been part of getting our great-great-grandfather's story out there.
Right.
Because I'm a girl.
Okay.
I was a girl. It's never been expressed.
Right.
But it's a feeling I have. And maybe it's me and it's a problem that sits here.
Right. But when you, I guess when you're immersed in that, you can't help but take that in by osmosis, I think. Do you think that's got anything to do with the way you feel about your body?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're marvellous.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you.
Well, no, you are. Just the fact, because I have a classics degree, so I like history. I absolutely do. I do a lot of research for my introductions, and I love delving through the information, and your daughter's provided me with a lot of information about you, which was very good. And so I loved learning about that.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, it's not. It's fabulous. Stop that. So they celebrate you, which is great. So they can see that what you've done and who you are, and they're very proud of you. So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right. Okay, so your mother, did you know when she was going through menopause?
No, my mother was only 20 years older than me.
Right.
So she must have been going through, but no, because by then, of course, I was married and had kids, and I didn't know her day-to-day life.
And she was in Dunedin and you were up here?
In Mosgiel, yes.
Right, okay, yeah. Right. So then, how did it start manifesting itself in you?
My periods became a bit irregular. I never had the hot flushes that everybody talks about.
Right.
I put up with heavy periods for about 3 or 4 years.
Right. And you were saying that they didn't really stop.
I have still got the records.
Wow.
2 weeks, I think, was the longest.
Right, okay.
And they were heavy, heavy, heavy. This is the most awful thing, think about it now. I took a school trip to New Caledonia with my French class in I can't remember exactly, was it 93? And it coincided with one of my heavy periods.
Wow.
And I remember going on a day bus trip, and by the end of the trip, I had bled through everything I was wearing.
Wow. Did you have understanding pupils?
I managed to get out and rinse out my skirt and, carry on.
Right. But I just want to have a little sidestep into acknowledgement here. I appreciate you talking about this with me because obviously this is an area that you haven't talked about much.
No, I haven't. No, I wouldn't have.
I hope you're feeling...
Nobody knows.
Right. Oh, well, I feel very honoured, but I hope you're okay talking about it. Right. So I feel, right, I hope I haven't pressured you into doing so.
Oh, well, I trust you to be discreet.
Okay. Right.
So in the end, I went to a gynecologist who was then using he said it was an experimental system which he called endometrial ablation.
Yes.
And he scraped out my insides.
Right.
And that stopped it. It stopped everything.
Wow. So it wasn't a hysterectomy at all, it was just...
No, but he said it will stop you, it will prevent you having a hysterectomy, which of course wasn't true, because I've had one since. Right,
okay. But so it sort of removed the lining of the uterus?
Yes, it did.
Right, okay, and that worked, amazing.
Yes, because the bleeding, I became anemic, all that sort of thing, and it went on for years, and I didn't really know that this wasn't normal.
Yeah. You didn't realise it was part of perimenopause?
No.
You probably didn't know the word.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I only found out recently what that word is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my friend nearly died. She had to have transfusions from a similar situation. That's actually what got me interested in menopause in the first place. I was like, what do you mean? Because I'm not menopausal at all. So I was just like...
No, you're too young.
Only just. 48. Right, okay. So then what happened from there?
Oh, it was plain sailing, really.
All right. Fantastic. So that was your only real symptom?
It really was, yes.
Right, so no brain fog?
I've looked it up. I've looked up what menopause symptoms there might be. And, for example, say if you have dry skin, okay, my skin got drier, but I've always had dry skin.
Right.
I don't remember headaches. I do remember being put on HRT by my GP.
Oh.
But it didn't do anything for me, really.
Right.
And then after a while she said, I think I'll take you off that.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. Pinky went on it briefly and hated it.
Yes.
So you've got a family connection.
Yeah, right.
You're looking at some more symptoms?
I'm just trying to remember what I found out.
See, this is you're so researched that you've got printed pages which no one else has done. So this is the historian, I think.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was going to say about my mother never talking about bodily functions.
Yeah.
But there was always oblique terms, like women's problems.
Yeah.
What what things women have to put up with.
Right.
Which I always thought, the long suffering came into it.
Right.
I remember when I rang to tell her that I was in labour with Jane, she said, "Oh, you've got to be brave." She said, "Be brave."
Right.
And that was all.
And that was all. That's your oldest?
Yes, Jane's our oldest.
Right, okay.
She works at the university too.
Right, got some brain boxes in the family.
She's in the library. She's a librarian.
Right, okay.
Because you can see we're surrounded by books.
Yes, there are quite a lot of books in this room. I love all the pictures in this room as well.
Oh, well.
So family's clearly very important.
It is. My favourite photo is the family photo, the black and white one.
Yeah.
It's us.
Oh, right. Which one are you?
I'm the little girl.
On the left?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm the oldest. I think I might have been about 4.
Yeah. And that's very formal, that picture, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The studio photos were a thing amongst the Chinese. I don't know why.
Right.
Because when I turned 21, my parents had photos taken. The 3 of us, 2 boys and me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, by the plant. That's a formal studio photo.
Don't you all look very smart and smiley and delightful?
Well, I graduated.
Yeah. Lovely.
And my brothers were at university then, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So then you had a hysterectomy, or was that for something different?
I don't actually remember why I had hysterectomy.
Wow.
But I did.
Right, okay. And then you didn't feel any adverse reactions of not having your ovaries anymore?
No.
Wow. No. Right. So you had one pretty full-on 3-year period or something, and then...
Yeah.
And then
it felt like a 3-year period, I'll tell you now.
Righty-ho, absolutely. So then have you talked to your daughters about menopause?
No.
Not at all?
It comes up every so often because Jane's 52, as I said, and she's encountering it, but she's making her way through pretty well.
Right, okay.
But we've never talked about it.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
I guess because they're all women in their own right and they can find out things themselves. I mean, it's lovely the way people are open about the stages in women's lives and like the onset of puberty and periods. And I love that this government has put sanitary materials into schools.
Yeah. Did you see like a period poverty when you were a teacher?
We had absences.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Right, yes, the government has done great things that way. And then, there's been an explosion in menopause information just even in the last year.
It has. And I think your podcast is doing great things.
Thank you.
I really do, because you're stepping out there and say, hey, this is a real thing and let's talk about it instead of having all this ignorance.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Fantastic. I'm glad. And I thank you for agreeing to be on it, because obviously it's quite a big deal for, the past history around your body and things like that. And so you never talked about it with girlfriends that are your age?
No.
Right. Okay. Wow.
I think we learn acceptance.
Right.
Of the things that happen.
Yeah.
Or something I do think I can now blame my weight gain on menopause.
Absolutely.
And I just thought, oh, well, it's what happens at middle age. You get heavy. And I never used to be this size. In fact, I take pride in the fact that when I was very young, my parents had made for me the Chinese costume, the cheongsam, which is very tight-fitting garment with slits up the side. The one
that
with
goes across the top,
the high neck.
Yep.
Yeah. And none of my girls can get into them. And not even Ruth, who is tiny.
Right.
Well, I think she's tiny. But, that's it.
Yeah, and you obviously are still...
But I always was told I was fat.
Oh, God. By whom?
Oh, everybody around. Because my mother's family is actually quite tall. And both my brothers are 6 foot or nearly 6 foot tall. and I'm 5'3".
Yeah, right.
But when I was growing up, because I started puberty young, I shot up. I was really tall for my class. I'm still only 5'3".
Yeah. They all caught up.
They caught up. And so, my mother was always telling me not to put myself forward.
Yeah.
Because, it's not modest, it's not womanly, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once my mother told me that I walked like I was up myself.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that's ballet training and confidence, Mother.
Of course it is. Ballet girls always walk differently.
Yeah. Because she has a little bit of that as well, obviously.
Yeah.
She's 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
But being modest being told not to put yourself forward has stopped me doing a lot of things.
Oh, really? What do you think you would have done?
Oh, well, I feel very strongly about some social things.
Aha.
And I would never go on a march.
Really? What? Because you would feel that you didn't... you shouldn't be there
because I'd stand out.
Wow.
Because you're Chinese,
Right. Do you feel that... Well, that's one thing too. I suppose sometimes you feel like you're reflecting the whole community.
Yeah.
When it's
absolutely,
a minority.
Absolutely. And you're representing your family.
Right.
Yeah.
So you still wouldn't?
Oh, well, I've done it now.
Oh, you went on a march. Which one?
I can't remember.
I love that. It was such a big, but now you can't remember, right? Mm-hmm. I've only been on, what have I been on? A couple that was, it was John Banks. Anything that John Banks did, I was against, generally. So there was a big march in Auckland, and do you know what? I can't remember what it was for either. I think it was cutting funding for arts or something to that effect. Yeah. So I was out there marching. So, yeah. And for any abortion situations, I will be there. Yeah. We were just talking before about what's happening in America is obviously, very backwards. So, right, okay. You see, the thing is, I think this is what I was going to say before. What I also like to have is stories like yours, which aren't, life-changing, tragedies around menopause, obviously, because I want to reflect the full gamut of the menopause experience. And obviously you had that time, but then it's all been fine since. Yeah, great. And obviously you're still very slight. I'm just going to put that out. I know you don't think you are. Do you know what? The main thing that I've taken from this podcast is so many people have so many insecurities that I can sit back and see and just go, well, there's no need for that. But I know what it's like because I have them too. And no matter what anybody says, you can't expunge what's been programmed into your brain.
It's part of your makeup too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So was there anything that you might like to talk around about menopause or anything else, or Chinese history or anything?
Well, when you asked me for a fun fact,
yes,
I started looking, and I watch QI. I love QI.
Yeah.
And on QI once, they talked about research that was being done on menopause and fertility, and they got the cooperation of a convent of nuns.
Right.
Who were entering menopause or who were prepared to diary their menopausal experiences and also collect their urine.
Wow.
And from this urine, apparently they are finding all sorts of things about hormones, and also they are finding some benefit in creating fertility drugs. I don't know anything more than that, but that was on QI, and it came up a very, very old episode, but I haven't been able to find reference to it online. So that's just anecdotal then.
Right, using urine to make drugs, you mean? Or, sorry, I was a bit confused by what you mean.
Well, I don't know either. But they were collecting these nuns' urine.
Yeah, which is funny in itself.
In research on fertility.
Right.
That was the thing that was...
and that they were entering menopause.
And they were in menopause, yeah. In entering and in.
Right, okay. And it's some progressive nuns too, which I like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. So, but I also found out about ancient Greeks.
Yes.
Ancient Greeks didn't really know about menopause because their women died in their 30s.
I was about to say their life expectancy was a little less. Yeah, I mean, it's only in the last, couple of 100 years that we've lived much longer than that.
Yeah, and Aristotle thought that menopause began at 40.
Right.
So that was interesting. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So is there any, even though, you say it's within the culture not to talk about it, but do you know, are there any Chinese practices around menopause or any...
I wish I did.
Yeah, no, right.
No, I don't.
Right.
I suspect that in the days, and this is only in me, in here, that in the days of the wealthy or the aristocracy having more than one wife at a time, I suspect that is where the practice of having first, second, and third wives come in.
Well, they get to that point.
Because they get to the point where they can no longer have children, then the husband will then take a younger wife to carry on the line. Because the important thing was to have sons, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And so all the more important for you to, if you had daughters, to have more wives to carry on. And I suspect there was a bit of that in my father's marriages.
Oh, how many did he have?
Well, he didn't have them all at the same time.
Yes.
But he had 2 other wives, and each of these wives had 3 daughters.
Wow. And then you had 4 daughters as well.
And I had 4 daughters. But that's all right, because I'm not a Sew Hoy.
Yeah,
They're not Sew Hoys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Although I can remember some of my Sew Hoy relations, and not even Sew Hoy relations, but other people saying, oh, well, you've got 4 daughters, now you have 4 sons.
Oh, has that worked out?
Hardly.
Yeah. So one thing, some cultures, they say that sort of more revering of old age, there seems to be less symptoms in some of these compared to Western cultures where obviously women are written off at about the menopausal age. Are older women revered in Chinese culture?
I don't think it matters whether you're man or woman if you're old.
Right.
You know.
I
don't know if that's happening anymore or much more, because in China itself, old people are valued only for their babysitting.
Oh, really?
Well,
it's difficult, isn't it?
It's a different regime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know I'm asking you questions about a culture that but you say you're Chinese New Zealander, but obviously you know more about Chinese and New Zealand. Do you keep up with much about what is happening in China around things, or that's not who you feel like you are?
Only as if it impinges directly on the family.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we have Chinese New Zealanders who have gone back to China, and by China I mean Hong Kong usually.
Right.
And they have set up businesses, and they do very well.
So you're obviously in contact with them.
Well, I know of them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, you see, we were a tiny little community to start with.
Yeah.
And I thought everybody Chinese was related to me. And very often they were.
Right, okay. I interviewed Ji-Ling Ching.
Oh, lovely girl.
Yes. And she said that she was sad when so many more Chinese became because she wasn't exotic anymore.
Oh, she's still exotic.
Yes, she is, isn't she?
She's an amazing woman. Yeah.
Right.
I thought she was so brave going into acting and being out there and being on people's screens, and
so that,
I admired her enormously.
Right. So you were taught to be, and that's obviously the opposite of modest, doing modelling and dancing around with David Bowie.
Yeah, I know.
But you were jealous of that.
I knew that my chance to do that wasn't with me.
Right.
I'd had it. But, yeah.
One day you might dance with David. No, you can't dance with him anymore.
No, I do like his music, though.
Right, okay. Cool.
But, no, I love what my girls are doing. I really, really do. And they don't see themselves as Chinese, really. They're New Zealanders, but our granddaughter has taken a Chinese name.
Oh, wow.
And she's Poi.
Right.
I think she likes what she is.
Great.
Yeah.
So do you see more pride coming through?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And they would have been really interested in your work with the family history.
They're very proud of it.
As they should be.
Lovely. Yeah.
And hopefully you will be, and are, maybe will be.
I am very proud of it, but then, it's because I'm married to Trevor. If it wasn't for Trevor, I wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
I wouldn't be talking to you either.
Oh, really? Did he convince you to do it?
No, it's because of the link with Pinky.
With Pinky, yeah.
Who is the loveliest, dearest, wonderful woman.
I like Sister in Love. I think that's a very nice name.
She is super duper.
She is a fabulous lady.
We are very, very lucky to have her in our family.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. Right, so is there anything else at all you might want to say? Or
The tragedy of menopausal women in history is that they're then on the shelf. Their fertility is gone, therefore their value has gone. And that's in so many cultures. And I've found the tragedy of the Victorian times when menopausal women were often locked into asylums because the Victorians believed there was a link between the mind and the womb. And once the womb had gone, your mind was obviously going too.
Yeah.
This is the patriarchy.
Absolutely.
And men, they feel they have to make themselves better by putting down someone else or something else. And women are handy because there's so many of them.
I know, and it's so crazy that they rely on us to, make sons.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Right.
But yet still use that to hold us down.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, I think that women have the burden now of making sure that their sons don't follow their father's footsteps.
That's right. So we'll finish on Smash the Patriarchy.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for being a fabulous guest and being a fabulous person.
Oh, for goodness sake. Thank you so much for letting me talk about myself.
Well, and that's what this is all about, so I love it. So thank you. And goodbye. So that was the very lovely Choie Sew Hoy Agnew, who, my word, is beyond humble. So hopefully I made her feel good about herself for a little while at least with her fantastic Queen's Service Medal and just services to education for Canterbury for a very long time. I'm also glad I tested negative on a rat test before I went to see them because only 4 days later, I was in hospital getting IV fluids on day 2 of a COVID roller coaster. Yes, it finally got me. I'm on day 7 now, about to fly back to the husband tomorrow. I just did a mini-sode, so in case you didn't hear that, yes, I got COVID. It was full on for a day and then fine for the rest, but you can check it all out on that mini-sode. But it's been a mixed bag of a time here in Christchurch, to say the least. Mainly not too sick, though, so thank God, despite an ambulance ride being involved. Anyway, back to the fabulous Jenny. I will include information about Jenny and Trevor's book in the show notes. If you want to know more about the Sew Hoy legacy, please check it out. Please also now remember to share this podcast, rate me 5 stars, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Insta, and come to New Plymouth this week to see me do shows after COVID and see how that works out. I mean, that could be fun. I could be delirious. Anyway, Olive Copperbottom is the show at the Fourth Wall Theatre in New Plymouth, and hopefully my copper bottom won't be too tarnished. Otherwise, I will see you next time on Showy Ovaries. Bye-bye. Or, as they sometimes say in Cantonese, bye-bye. It's true. Ciao.